When you went to see him, he was still in solitary. That's the way I read it in the book. Is that right?
Yes, the first time. The first and second time I saw him, he was still in
Okay.
uh, protective confinement, he called it.
Yeah. Had he had any issues with other inmates, or no problems that he told you about?
In the Wisconsin prison, oddly enough, he's pretty content. He's in a pod, he said, with handicapped inmates, about 17 in the pod that he's in. He still has his own cell, which he enjoys, having his own privacy, but then he can come out into the day room or whatever, and he gets to go outside, I think, 3 or 4 times a week. But he's oddly content with where he's at. So he hasn't had any problems with anyone where he's at in Wisconsin. Now, he did before he got to Wisconsin. He not that he saw anyone and had any trouble one-on-one, but they screamed at him, he said, all the time, and telling him ways to kill himself, and treated him really badly. Wanted to get to him if they could.
Okay.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of that type of thing, but
yeah, there's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
There's a hierarchy in prison.
He was scared.
Yeah. Well, no, he should be. I mean, there's a hierarchy in prison, and people that kill children are, not very high on that platform of, or a hierarchy of respect. That's for sure. So he's got something to worry about. The other thing I liked about your book is, one, you came out to the realization, hey, he's pled guilty. But the second one was that you acknowledge, like, how do we know, and you kind of force, how do we know that he's telling the truth based on what he said earlier, based on what he's saying now? Why should we believe it? And once again, I like your sort of realistic attitude of it is, it's up for you to decide, the reader to decide. I mean, I like that candor. Can you explain why you put that in there?
Well, because I think all of us feel the same way. Is he telling the truth now? I think he is. I've sat across from him. I've listened to him. I've read his letters. I think he's telling the truth, but I'm not 100% positive. And those who read the story are going to have to find within their own mind what they're comfortable with believing. It's been such a big case, and so many people have been invested in their feelings and emotions with this case. So they're going to have to decide, do I take this as the final answer, so to speak, and this is the truth, or do I continue to search further and dig to try to find? He's never going to tell us some things, just flat out. He told me he's never going to tell who gave him the oxy. And then along the time of talking with him, he said, there are some things I will take to my death. And who knows what those could be.
Yeah, I mean,
some of them had to do with Nikki.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. So, and like I said, I've had lots of clients over the years that have been in, similar type charges, and some they won't tell you everything. Some they tell you what they think you need to know. And even if you think they're telling you just about everything, there's always that one little nugget that they're usually holding back. So when you say, he says, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. And I've had clients that were literally, they'll tell you everything, and they'll get to the point and they're like, we're not going to talk about that. And they just won't talk about it. It's whatever's that deep, dark thing that they did or what brought it about, they don't want to discuss it. And so, like I said, I haven't talked to him, personally. And so but that just, I think perhaps, and like I said, this is not a puff piece for you. If I had read this and said, this is, a hogwash, but you're laying it out there saying, readers, here's what we know. Here's in the public. Here's the letters that you all haven't seen. You decide. And these are facts.
Right.
And they're going to make up their own mind. Some people will be completely dismissive of it, but you know what? You can't ignore the stuff. If you're interested in the case, let's look at it factually and for what it says. and not get off on some wild
Right.
conspiracy theory that some people want to get into in this
There's,
particular case.
yeah, always the conspiracy feeling or theories. A part of it, I think people feel like they would like to be told that there was someone with him, an accomplice,
Yeah.
and they would love to be able to blame it on Nikki because she broke up his home. But Christopher had decisions to make, and he made some really, really bad. All of them were bad decisions.
Yeah.
And
well,
there's just no way we can blame anyone else. It was him.
Yeah. Let's talk about Nichol Kessinger, who is obviously, it's undisputed, that's not in dispute that she was having a relationship while they were still married, and she's one of the last people that he had spoken to before being arrested in texts and things like that. Did you ever talk to her for the book? Did you try to reach out to her?
I tried to find her. I cannot find her. I don't know. I've been told that she's under FBI protection. I don't know if I believe that or not. I think she's just changed her name, changed her looks, and moved somewhere where she feels like she can't be found. And so no, I never got to speak with her.
Okay. And I've tried to look for her. I've tried to look for her myself, and I've had investigators do it, and a lot of stuff is still coming back not far from my office. We can go by the parents' home, but no one's actually been able to see her at the parents' home too. So I'm of the mindset that you are, that she is gone. I don't buy the FBI witness protection thing. I don't.
No, I don't
but
either.
I think she's disappeared, and eventually she'll pop up, and maybe one day she'll tell her story as well. But obviously that's kind of what led to this. I mean, he met Nichol Kessinger, and I guess I just don't understand it. Did he ever explain to you why he didn't just get a divorce instead of saying, hey, I can't have Nichol Kessinger and my wife and kids and family at the same time, so I have to kill my family? I mean, did you ever ask him point blank why he didn't just get a divorce?
I did. Yeah.
What was his response?
Yeah, I did. And he doesn't know. He doesn't know was all that he would ever tell me. He wanted to be with her so badly that he says he just couldn't function. He feels something dark came over him and was making him do these things and put this into his head, and he planned it for 3 or 4 weeks because this darkness that was in him. And then he'll say, well, she was dark. And then he gave a Bible scripture. I don't remember, Matthew, I think, or I don't remember. I put it in the book where basically it talks about a woman that is kind of a prostitute, or a married prostitute, if you will. I don't know. She just, and he likened Nichol to that Bible character. And that if you want to see what Nichol is like, read this scripture, and that's who Nichol is. But then you're going to tell me that you loved her so much, and then tell me that there was some horribly bad things that went on in her apartment, at her house, when he was with her, that again, he will take to his death. He will not talk about all of the things that they did. I don't know what that means.
Okay. But did you get the sense that he was trying to protect Miss Kessinger? I mean, it seems very clear he acted on his own from his statements. I mean, did you get the feeling that, like I said, in one sentence, he was completely infatuated and in lust with this woman, and he couldn't function, and he had to be with her, so he jumped from that faulty logic, if that's what you say, that only way I can be with her is to kill her, my family, to be with her, to she has a darkness about her? I mean, did you get the feeling, and I understand this is your own opinion, speculation, but was he covering for anybody? Or is it I did it and I just really wanted to be with her?
He's protective of her, and he's protective of his family, as in his sister and his mom and dad. But and he's told me that he still loves Nichol. He still feels a love for her. So in being, I guess that's what makes him kind of protective of her. But as you see, in the letters, he did talk about her and the things that she did that he feels led him to do what he did. And I told him flat out, that sounds a little bit like an excuse. And he says, no, I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying that these are the things that caused me to get off track. And then he would say, well, for 3 months before the murders happened, I didn't pray on my way to work every day. And I used to always pray on my way to work. And so I stopped that. So that's why this happened to me. And just doesn't sound logical thinking to me.